Tickled for discipline. The summer afternoon hung heavy with heat. Sunlight poured through the living room window, spilling over the cushions and glinting off the glass tabletop. A 20-year-old girl slouched on the sofa, arms folded tightly across her chest, her pastel pink t-shirt creasing against her body. Her blue jeans were wrinkled from hours of sitting in the same defiant posture. She wasn't speaking, not anymore. She had already thrown her words at her mother earlier in the day, sharp, frustrated words that now hung in the air like invisible daggers. From the kitchen came the steady sounds of movement. A woman in a blue t-shirt and jeans stood calmly at the counter, her dark hair pulled back in a simple clip, as she arranged dishes into their places. The rhythmic sound of porcelain against which should have been comforting, but instead, it only fed the daughter's sense of irritation. The girl's thoughts boiled over. Why is she always so calm? Why does she never shout back? That calmness felt like a wall, unshakable and suffocating. Her eyes darted toward the stack of clean dishes on the counter. A reckless idea sparked in her mind, an act of rebellion, something that would finally make her mother lose control. With a sharp motion, she stormed into the kitchen. Her sneakers squeaked against the tiles as she reached for the dishes. Before her mother could react, the plates slipped from her hands, crashing against the floor. Smash! Porcelain shattered into countless pieces, scattering across the kitchen tiles like jagged snow. The sharp sound echoed through the house, louder than any shouted argument could have been. The woman turned slowly, her expression still calm, but her eyes firm and unwavering. The blue t-shirt she wore shifted slightly as she crossed her arms, her gaze fixed firmly on her daughter. The daughter stood tall, trying to mask her racing heart. Her pastel pink t-shirt caught the afternoon light, making her appear almost radiant despite the defiance written on her face. "I've had enough," she snapped, voice trembling with a mixture of anger and fear. The silence that followed was unbearable. Then, in measured steps, the mother walked forward. Her jeans brushed softly with each step, her posture steady as if every movement was deliberate. "Breaking things won't solve what's inside you," she said softly, though her tone carried weight. The girl's chin lifted higher, but her voice faltered. "Maybe you'll finally take me seriously." Her mother stopped just a breath away. There was no anger in her eyes, only that unyielding firmness, the kind that made resistance feel like standing against a river's current. And then it happened. With swift precision, the woman caught her daughter's wrist and slipped her other hand directly into the space beneath her raised arm. The girl's breath caught. Before she could react, fingers pressed against her underarm, wriggling with relentless intent. A shriek tore from her throat, followed instantly by uncontrollable laughter. Stop. Please," she cried, doubling over, her pastel pink t-shirt tugging against her as she writhed. But her mother didn't stop. The tickling fingers danced in her underarm, mercilessly exploiting the most sensitive spot. The girl twisted and struggled, her blue jeans scuffing against the kitchen tiles as she tried to pull away. But her mother's grip was firm. Peals of laughter filled the kitchen, replacing the silence that had hung so heavily moments before. The girl's cheeks turned red, tears of laughter forming at the corners of her eyes. Her mother's calm expression never wavered. Discipline didn't need raised voices or harsh blows. It came through control, through holding her daughter accountable in a way she would never forget. The girl's body crumpled against the counter, her laughter echoing like wild music. She gasped between laughs, her words broken and desperate. "Okay. I'll stop, I promise. Just, please." Finally, her mother released her, stepping back with measured calm. The girl collapsed to the floor, still giggling breathlessly, her pastel pink t-shirt damp with sweat, her hair clinging to her flushed face. For a long moment, the only sound in the kitchen was her ragged breathing. The woman in the blue t-shirt stood tall, her arms folded loosely now, watching her daughter with a mix of sternness and quiet care. "Discipline doesn't always hurt," she said, her tone soft but firm. "Sometimes it just reminds you that actions have consequences." The girl wiped her eyes, still catching her breath. Her defiance had crumbled into something smaller, something humbler. She glanced at the shards of broken porcelain scattered across the floor. Without a word, she pushed herself up onto her knees and began gathering the pieces carefully. Her blue jeans pressed against the cold tiles as her hands worked cautiously, collecting each shard into a small pile. Her mother didn't move to help. Instead, she pulled out a chair and sat down, her blue t-shirt stretching slightly as she folded her hands in her lap. She watched quietly, her expression softer now, patient but resolute. The girl worked slowly, the sting of guilt sharper than the edges of the porcelain in her hands. Her laughter still lingered in her chest, a strange reminder of the strange punishment she had just endured. When the floor was finally cleared, she stood up, brushing dust from her jeans. Her eyes avoided her mother's at first, but finally, she glanced up, her voice quiet. "That I'm sorry." The woman in the blue t-shirt leaned forward, reaching out to gently touch her daughter's cheek. Her palm was warm, steady. "Good. That's what I wanted to hear." For the first time that day, the tension broke. The girl leaned slightly into her mother's hand, and for a moment, the kitchen wasn't filled with anger or broken dishes but with the quiet bond of understanding. Outside, the sun dipped lower, casting the room in a golden glow. And though the shards were gone, the memory of the laughter, and the lesson, would remain. Evening reflection. Later that evening, the kitchen is spotless, the broken dishes gone, replaced by the soft smell of dinner cooking on the stove. The girl in a pastel pink t-shirt and blue jeans sits quietly at the dining table, her arms resting calmly for the first time that day. Across from her, the woman in a blue t-shirt and jeans places 2 steaming bowls of soup onto the table, her movements steady and composed. There is no tension now, only a comfortable silence. The girl glances up, her lips parting into a small, hesitant smile. The woman returns it faintly, her eyes carrying both strength and tenderness. As they eat together, the earlier storm feels like a memory fading into the distance. The girl leans back in her chair, finally relaxed, knowing that discipline, however unusual, had restored balance between them. The warm light above the table glows softly, sealing the day with a quiet but powerful sense of peace.